again, good morning, and I hope everyone is doing well. So let's go ahead and take a moment just to find your comfortable seat. Move around a little bit. So it's early, it's chilly outside, so just kind of awaken the body. And then slowly work yourself into a comfortable seat that's good for you. And then slowly allow the eyes to gently rest closed. And as a reminder, when we talk about closed eyes, we don't close them all the way. We just allow a little bit of light to shine in so we don't put any tension on that region of our body. And then before we get a little bit further into the body, let's take a moment or two to connect to our breath. So as we know, we have the two options. We breathe through the nose or we breathe through the mouth. I really encourage more of an awareness of the breath and a specific form of breathing through the nose or the mouth. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever feels that you can draw that energy in most efficiently without any unnecessary stress on the body. That breath is going to move all the way into the lower belly, wherein at that moment we begin to set the tone for our practice. And allowing the body to be and to start to move and make that transition into a greater sense of tranquility, both physically and mentally, the mind. Without using our hands, feel that you're pushing your seat into the floor, into your yoga mat. And as you do, begin to feel the upper chest lift a little bit, so you get some buoyancy in the upper body. And the core is active, that lower abdominal region, that same place that we send and offer the breath, we begin to pull back towards our spine as we engage that region. We position the chin roughly parallel to the floor, even perhaps just tucked down just a touch to allow the spine to be at its longest point. Shoulders are soft and gently pulled back, so we feel the shoulder blades move onto our back, drawing towards the midline. So taking these few subtle changes in the body's position and actions, we create a body now that is more balanced and more efficient because it is aligned, allowing the energy to transfer through the body unrestricted. And it's from this place that we take a moment to set the intention of this practice. Allow this intention to guide you not only through the next hour that we have together, or perhaps allow it to move with you as we progress through the rest of the weekend, or even through the rest of next week. We draw the hands into prayer position to the heart as we take a moment or two to breathe here and allow this intention to come forth and be placed. And we bow our heads to our heart. From that gentle position, we lift the chin and we release the hands. Gently place them behind you and just re-engage the seat into the floor as you almost feel like you're trying to lift your seat off the floor, and you lean in towards the cross in your legs just a little bit. Place your hands on the cups of the knees and then just roll the shoulders back. Inhale, look forward. And as you exhale, roll the spine into flexion as you chin to chest. And then move back forward, leaning into the cross of the legs. So this pattern really is a cat-cow movement, but we're in our seated posture. So it's kind of this nice little rocking chair, starting to tap into the hips a little bit, starting to move the spine in a nice and energized way. allowing the breath again to be full and deep into the body to allow heat to start to build. We'll do a few more rounds of this seated version of cat-cow. And if there's areas of the body that are more prominent this morning, take a moment to spend a little time there. Perhaps we roll back and we pause a moment, just stretching. And as we pull our chest forward, lifting our heart, maybe we pause a moment there. Again, this nice pattern of movement back and forth, just gently awakening the body. We'll do a couple more. Always remembering that this practice is yours. Move in a way that's most comfortable for you and your body. We'll do one more, coming into a position of nice lifted in the upper chest, and we're simply going to twist to the right. So left hand, right knee, move the shoulders back just a little bit, lift the chin, and then just start to move your side bodies in opposite direction. So it's early, so we're not going to worry too much about how far we go. Feel the crown of the head lifting up towards the sky so you feel length in your spine. Let your belly continue to be active as you draw the shoulder back and the ribs back. We'll come back and move towards the left, right hand, left knee. Shoulders are down and back, and we slowly start to transition our body, our side body, to the left and to the right. Just a couple rounds of breath here. Gently feel the crown of the head moving towards the ceiling so we get a little bit longer in the spine. We'll come back one more time to the right. Shoulders are back, lifting the crown of the head. Full rounds of breath and just feeling the release from within the body as we move deeper and slowly into the practice. Move to the left last time. Shoulders are back. And then come back into neutral, and then take your arms out to this position. Elbows are 90 degrees, palms are facing down. So it's basically a flat cactus. And then move to the right, and then move to center, and move to the left. Allow your core to be very strong, and allow your gaze to follow the movement of your shoulders. As we start to warm up the body, the pace of this movement, again, is entirely up to you, but you can, if you'd like, to pick it up a little bit. Start to heat the body a little bit more. Twisting is one very good way to internally bring the body heat up. Hence, creating an environment for detoxing. A couple more. Now we're going to include the shoulders a little bit more here. So we go to one side, then we come back into neutral, and we're simply going to flip the palms up and then flip them down and transition to the other side. Come into neutral, lift up, down, and we start this pattern of movement. So getting a little bit more into the shoulders themselves. We'll do a few more of these, and again, allowing your gaze to follow the movement of your body. We talk often of drishti, which is focal point. Drishti allows the body to lengthen, to create space if we follow, allowing the body to follow the movement of our focus. One more to each side. Last one. And then come back to neutral, release the hands back towards the knees. Inhale, lift the heart, exhale, fold again, chin to chest. A couple more, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Two more. Starting to find a little bit more efficient movement in the body. Last one. Good. Come into neutral, lift up, take a deep breath, shoulders towards the ears, and then exhale, drop them. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale, drop. Last one, inhale up. And then drop, exhale. Nicely done. Good. Let's move to all fours, hands and knees. So from hands and knees, every posture that we're in today, we're going to add some form of movement. Okay? So spread your fingers as wide as you can get. Allow the shoulders to rest over your wrist and allow the hips to rest over your knees. So you're 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and 90 degrees in the knees. And we'll start that very similar cat-cow movement from here. So we'll inhale and then exhale. We'll start this pattern of movement and we'll build into it just like we did in our seated posture. As we move, notice the spine again is beginning to open. Perhaps a little less tightness, maybe in the lower back, maybe in the mid back, maybe even the shoulders. Couple more rounds. Good, let's do one more. And then come back into neutral. And we're simply going to look over our left shoulder towards the back of the mat on the left side. And as we peek around that left shoulder, we'll just encourage that right hip back a little bit. Let your hands get a little heavier so you feel that you're rounding your back just slightly. Peeking around, and then come back into neutral and we take it to the right. Keeping your back slightly rounded, pull your left hip back. And then come back into neutral and then take your left leg straight back. We're going to lift it off the floor and we're going to bend that left knee and we're simply going to open it to the left. Allowing the left heel to move a little closer towards your glute and lifting that left leg to the point where we don't feel that we're collapsing into the right side. So we want to stay stable. We'll just take a couple rounds of breath here, activating the glute, both your adductor and abductor. A little bit of hamstring work. Now from that point, straighten your left leg, pointing the toes down towards the floor. And then from that, you're going to step that left foot to the outside of the mat on the right. We're going to round our back slightly, and we're going to peek back over that right shoulder to see that left foot. And as we do, again, we pull the left hip back. Stretch. And then we'll come back into neutral, we'll lift that left foot up, and then we're going to take that left foot to the outside of the mat on the left. Right hand's going to come down, and we're just going to open up nicely to the left as we stretch that right side a little bit. Letting the hips fall down towards the top of the mat and stretching that left shoulder open to the right as you breathe. Good, we'll take the gaze down, we'll come back into the all fours position, bringing that cat-cow position back into movement. Inhale here, exhale. Now, we'll do a few rounds of this and perhaps we start a little bit more movement. So we start that rocking chair. Maybe the hips move back towards your heels. As we move forward, we activate the midline by squeezing the forearms together and squeezing the inner thighs together. So we create that nice line of stability. Again, taking the moment, if there's any areas of the body that are more pronounced, then pause a moment. Take a peek inside, maybe in a little deeper way, just to see what's going on. We'll do 2 more of these. And then from here we move back into a neutral position, stretching your right leg back this time, lifting it up, bending the knee and opening it to the right. Again, we're going to open it to the point where we don't collapse into the left. We stay super strong in the upper body, so hands are heavy, a little bit of rounding in the back. We take a few rounds of breath. That right heel can perhaps move a little closer towards your glute, taking some nice deep rounds of breath. Good. Point the right toes down, stretch the right heel back, move it to the outside of the mat on the left, and then peek over your left shoulder towards the right foot and pull that right hip back. So we'll stretch and move into the body as we prepare it for a little bit more movement in just a moment or two. We come back into neutral, right leg lifts up and then steps to the outside of the mat at the top. Left hand to the floor, right hand to the knee, and then open up towards the right. Stretch. Breathing fully into the sensations that your body is experiencing. Good. From here, we'll take the right hand down, bring the body back into our all fours position. Inhale here, again, hips to heels, stretch. Moving forward. Again, we create this movement and we move with stability and balance and integrity. So the forearms and the inner thighs squeeze together. We really want to activate that midline. Center of gravity, stability, balance. Two more. And then we come back into neutral. Toes are tucked. We take the knees and lift them about 4 inches off the mat. So our shins are parallel to the floor. We find some buoyancy in the body. So squeeze the legs together, squeeze the forearms together, and kind of stick your seat back. So we're not tucking our tailbone, we're sticking our seat back. And allow that action to slowly move you into downward dog. And then from our downward dog position, we're going to simply pedal the feet back and forth. Moving a little bit deeper into the body as we start to tap into the hamstrings. Moving any way that feels good. Stretching the hips, stretching the legs. And then from here, as we come back into neutral position, we're going to focus on the bottom half of our body. So take your feet a little bit wider, bend your right knee a little bit, and you're going to pivot on that left ball mound, turning the left heel in towards the right about 45 degrees and placing the whole foot on the floor. Take your upper back in and breathe. And then we'll switch. Lift the left heel, bend the left knee, turn the right heel in, place it on the floor, and take your upper back in. And now we're going to add on that. Lift the right heel, turn the left heel in, and then move forward, releasing that right knee to the floor and open up towards the left. As that left arm comes up towards the ceiling. Stretch. Perhaps the left arm comes over your left ear as you stretch. And if you feel the stability, maybe that left leg comes off the floor. And if it does, spread your toes, reach through the left hand, reach through the left heel, and breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2. Back to your all fours position, left hand down, left knee down. Inhale here, exhale, hips to heels, stretch back. Move forward into your all fours. A couple rounds of these. Again, awakening the body, moving, stretching, and breathing. 2 more. Last one. As we move forward, we lift the knees again about 4 inches off the floor. Buoyancy in the body, lightness. Stick your seat back. From that, lift your hips up, come to your down dog. Again, we'll take a moment or two to pedal the feet back and forth. Stretch. Perhaps notice a little bit more freedom of movement. And then come into your down dog. Turn your right heel in, place it on the floor. Stretch. Move that left knee to the floor and open up towards the right. And as we open up towards the right hand can move over. Perhaps the right foot comes up. We stretch. Strong in the core, finding as much balance that stems from the breath. Tendency in these postures is to shallow breathe. This is where we want to breathe fully. Take a deep, full breath. Right hand comes down, right knee comes back to the all fours position. A couple rounds of cat-cow in here. Exhale, hips to heels back. Moving back and forth and breathing as you move. Finding space. 2 more. Last one. Back to all fours. Lift the knees again. Find that buoyancy. Notice each time we get a little bit lighter. The body's accepting the actions in which we're placing on it. Squeeze the forearms, squeeze the inner thighs together, and that nice tilt forward in your pelvis brings some lightness to the body as we transition back into downward dog. Again, take a moment or two to pedal the feet back and forth. And we'll spend a little bit more time in dog pose here before we transition to standing posture. Now from here, we bend the knees a little bit, sticking our seat back. So again, we feel that lightness in our body. Hips are moving away from the hands. So we're creating as much length as we possibly can. And then from there, slowly ground your right hand in towards the mat. And then slide your left hand towards the direction of your right foot. Maybe you grab the shin, or just let it hang out on the mat, and we'll lift that right shoulder up, and we're going to peek underneath. And from there, we pull that right hip back. Stretch. Release the left hand down, slowly and lightly. And then the right hand starts to transition over towards the left side. Maybe we grab the ankle or the shin, left shoulder lifts, and we peek underneath. That left hip moves back, getting as long as we can on that left side. Right hand comes back. We inhale here. We knees down, exhale. Inhale, look forward. Left leg moves back again. Left leg comes up, bend the knee, and again, open it to the left. Again, we open it to the left to where we do not collapse into our right side. So be mindful. And then from here, we stretch that left leg back, move it to the outside of the right, and we round our back slightly and peek over the right shoulder at the left foot. Pulling the left hip back and breathe. And we move into our hip opener. Left leg comes up, stretch it, move it outside the left at the top of the mat. Right hand is firm into the mat, left hand to the thigh, and roll open. Stretch. Feel that nice length on that right side. We'll spend a little bit more time here, breathing and allowing gravity to pretty much do the work here. Breathe. Left shoulder moves back, and we don't want to collapse into that right side. So that right shoulder actively pushes into the hand, lifting up, creating space. 3 more breaths. And left hand down, bring your left knee back underneath your hip. Inhale here, hips to heels, exhale. A few of these in a row. Inhale, and then exhale. Gracefully moving back and forth. And we talk so often about moving the body with integrity. Breathe. 2 more. Last one. As we come back into a all fours position, the right leg moves back. We elevate it, we bend the knee and open it to the right. Again, open it to a level that keeps us steady and balanced. Round the back a little bit. Keep that spine long. Breathe. And we stretch it back. Move it to the outside of the left. Again, round your back a little bit and peek over that left shoulder. Pulling the right hip back, getting as long as you can on the right side. Full rounds of breath. And we know we're moving that right foot forward, so at this moment begin to really connect to that left hand as you make it a little heavier perhaps. And then from that position, that right leg moves up and you step it outside on the right. And then from there, dip the hips, open up towards the right. Couple more rounds of breath. Stay strong on the left. And we release. Back to our all fours. This will be the last of this particular opening sequence here, which has been long. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Again, notice it's always fascinating to me to see how the body starts to move and it starts to become more efficient. Loosening the body, it works with a less effort, so it becomes more efficient, and then that efficiency leads to just a greater sense of overall well-being. Two more. And we move into the all fours position. Again, lift the knees, find that buoyancy. This time we're going to come to a little bit more of a, kind of like we're going to pounce towards the top of the mat. So keep those knees elevated, take your upper back in, and then from there we'll stretch it into downward dog. Pedaling the feet back and forth. Stretching. Again, staying a little bit longer in our dog pose here. And then from this position, simply walk your feet halfway up the mat. And then from this, walk your hands back to greet your feet. And before we do anything, we want to make sure that the feet are in alignment. That's not only to themselves, but it's also to the sides of the mat, so parallel in both points. And once we connect to that, we can pretty much stay in a half lift, and we're just going to move the hips from right to left. You can, no pressure in the neck. We're not really at a forward fold, we're more at that half lift, or Ardha Uttanasana. Breathe. And then from there, we're going to come back into neutral. We're pretty much going to do a similar sequence to what we did when we were on our hands and knees. But we're going to take that left knee and we're going to bend it a little bit. We're going to work on straightening the right leg. And let's work on straightening it from the thigh, not the knee joint. So to do that, we tilt our pelvis forward. So the sit bones move up towards the ceiling. You get a little bit more extension in your lower back. And you'll feel that upper hamstring region start to turn on big time. We'll just pause here for a moment. This is really good for the insertion points of the hamstring. So if you ever feel there's stress or tension or just general tightness in those areas, this is a great way to do it. We bend the right, straighten the left. Again, I'm tilting my pelvis forward, so I'm getting that lift back here that's concentrated right on that sit bone region, and stretch. And then we're going to add a variation to it. I'm going to bend the right, work on straightening that right, bend the left, work on straightening the right, and this time I'm going to walk my hands to the left. And just like we did earlier in the class, we're going to pull that right hip back, actively pull it back. Keep tilting your pelvis forward. Technically, that's called anterior tilt, so you're moving the pelvis forward. Okay? We'll come back into neutral. Before we transition to the other side, we bend the right and work on tilting that pelvis short, straighten the left, and then walk your hands to the right. And as we do, that left hip pulls back. Breathe. Nice. Come back into neutral. Now we inhale here. We come to a deeper fold. Exhale. Bend the knees a little bit and slowly, encouraging the body to accept the standing posture, but we do it mindfully And slowly, as we come all the way up to our standing posture and our shoulders are back and apart, and we take a moment to breathe here. Again, the feet, for the most part, have not moved, so they should remain in that parallel position, again, to the sides of the mat. I've repositioned myself, and then from there, we're just going to move from here. We're going to move continually for about 5 rounds of half sun salutation. So we're going to inhale, arms up, and I'm going to build on it as we move. So as we fold, we've spent a little time in forward fold already. So if we're ready to take our hands to the floor, we do so. Inhale, half lift. Exhale and fold. We stand, inhale, stretch, lead with the heart. Use your arms. Stretch all the way up towards the top. Exhale, hands to side body. Good, I'm going to add a variation to this, the end of this one that we're moving through. Exhale. Half lift, full breath. Exhale to release. Inhale, leading with the heart, stretching all the way up, lengthening, and then interlace the hands, and you're going to side bend to the left. Now, I'm not mirroring you all, so I'm actually going to the left, okay? And as we move over towards the left, we actively push the feet into the floor. So you'll notice a pattern here. There's a little region right on the outside of our hips that we're tapping into. Stretch. And then we're going to stretch up into neutral, and we're going to take it to the right. And then as we move towards the right, both legs get strong. Both feet get a little bit heavier. We stretch. And then I come back into neutral, and then we release the hands by the side. Good. 2 more. Inhale, arms up. Again, variations on each of them. This one, we're going to do a variation in our fold. Come to the half lift. We're going to bend that left knee again, work on straightening the right. This time we'll take it potentially a little bit deeper as that right hand now moves to the right hip. That right shoulder is going to roll open, and we can start by just looking towards the right. Keep the hips neutral. If we're comfortable here, perhaps that right arm comes up. Stretching the front part of our right shoulder. Activating the shoulder blade. We release the right hand. We switch sides. Bend the right, straighten the left. Left shoulder rolls open. Peek to the left. If we're good here, maybe the left arm comes up. We take a nice full breath. Left hand comes down. We forward fold. We lengthen. We'll do our side bend again, interlacing the hands above. We stretch up. We lean to the left. As we do, both feet get a little bit heavier so we feel balanced across both sides of our body. We come back into neutral and we swing over towards the right. And we come back into neutral as we release our hands. Now this last, third and fourth and final one, we're going to find another variation at the end. So inhale, take your arms up. Exhale and fold. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch up. And again, as we move towards the top, we're going to interlace our hands. And we're going to stay lifted in the arms. We're going to step our feet a little bit wider, about hip width. We're going to turn the toes out about 10 degrees. Knees are going to follow that direction, so we're not bow. We're going to inhale, stretch up towards the ceiling or the sky with the hands. And as we exhale, the hands are going to drop down towards the center of our chest, and we're going to push the palms forward, and we're going to bend the knees and round our back. And we're simply going to reverse it. Inhale up, straighten the legs, lift up. And then exhale, reach forward, palms long. Inhale up. And then release. 5 more. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up. Step the feet back to hip width, drop your arms alongside your body, take a nice couple rounds of breath here, and breathe, allowing the body to kind of connect to the movement that we just did. Breathing. We've opened up a lot within. Okay. Now we'll spend the next couple minutes doing a little bit more movement, finding some areas that we've tapped into already, some hips, okay? So let's move to the top of the mat, find Inner Tadasana or mountain pose. Feet are parallel again to each other and to the sides of the mat. Shoulders are back and apart. We find a very similar position to where we did seated. So the chin is roughly parallel to the floor. Our upper chest is open and long. We take a breath and scoot those arms up. We exhale, fold. Half lift, inhale, left leg moves back. Left heel moves into the right, so our right heel is aligned to the left heel. Walk your hands off to the left as we come to what is known as lunging warrior. Right hip will move back. We're going to stay elevated in the chest, so we're not collapsing, we're lifted, okay? Take your right hand to the top of your right knee. Now push into both hands and you're going to open up towards the right. Lift the chest. Pull your right hip back and breathe. Couple rounds of breath. That right side is very, very active. And from there, we're going to come to a runner's lunge. Right hand to the outside, left hand, boom, left knee down. From there, hands to hips. Shoulders are back. Take a moment here. Perhaps that right foot gets a little bit heavier and you pull it back, dropping the hips down. We've done enough to where we should be nice and open here. Little tuck of the tailbone. Arms can come up into traditional Anjaneyasana or our cactus. I always like the cactus just simply because it allows me to work on my upper chest and open the heart space. Pull the ribs back so we're not arching our lower back. We breathe. And hands to the floor. Left knee lifts, scoot it forward. Half, fold. Standing. Releasing. Second side, inhale, arms up. Release and fold. Half, right scoots back. Right heel turns in. So we're basically in a variation of runner's lunge. We're going to walk it off to the right. We'll stay elevated. The left hand is going to come to that left thigh. We're going to push into both, and I'm open to the left. Now again, it's this portion right here, that outside of the left hip, that's pulling back. Notice my knee doesn't move. So I'm creating length, okay, inside that joint. Straight, stretch. Shoulders are back, breathe. And runner's lunge. Right knee down. Hands to hips. Arms up. I'll take the cactus route. Shoulders back, ribs back. Couple rounds of breath. And again, that left foot can get heavier, maintaining the integrity of the body, but we can take it and pull it back isometrically to drop those hips down to give us a little bit more sensation in that right side. Hands to the floor. Right knee lifts, right foot forward. Half, release, standing, stretch, release. Now, before we move into a little bit deeper sequence here, take your thumbs and lock them together. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Take your arms out and then actively pull your palms apart. Okay, bend the knees a little bit, turn your toes out just like we did a moment ago. And you're going to arms up, straighten, and you're going to push with resistance. Exhale. And inhale up. All with the action of pulling the hands apart. 5 more. 2 more. And release. Take a breath. Full exhale. Good. Inhale, arms up. Fold. Half. Left moves back. That left heel is going to turn in again. We're going to move the right foot to a little bit to the right. We're going to take our hands to our hips. So we come into an early version of Warrior One. Ribs back on the right, ribs forward on the left. Square the hips, arms out, up, and again, up or cactus. Shoulders are back. Center line of the chest moves in, the ribs move in. Strong on that back leg, so we don't want to collapse. Pinky side heavy. Inner thigh moves out. Now, hands to hips. Straighten your right leg. Ball mount heavy. Fold halfway. Now, as you fold halfway, pull that right hip back. Now, you can hang out here for a breath or two. Hands can rest on the shin. Everything else is constant, or the hands come to either side of that right foot. That right hip actively pulls back, a little bit of bend in the right knee. A couple rounds of breath. Now, we'll be here for about 3 more rounds of breath, but we're going to move into the lunging warrior and reconnect to the sequence we did in our first round here. So right knee moves forward, back to our lunging warrior to the left. Right hand to the right thigh, push in and open up towards the right. Right hip pulls back, right knee nice and stable. Breathe. And release it down. Left knee down, hands to hips, shoulders back, arms up, perhaps the cactus, ribs, shoulders, and even pull that right foot back to drop the hips. Couple rounds of breath. And release. Left foot forward, half lift. Exhale, fold. Lengthen with the heart. So a back bend all the way up to standing. And release. Perfect. Second side, last side of standing sequence. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Half. Right back. Right heel in, left foot moves to the left a little bit. Hands to hips. Square the hips and ribs, shoulders. Arms up. I'll take the cactus path. Breathe. Again, remember the back right leg is super strong. Breathe. Hands to hips, left leg long. Pull that left thigh back. Create that deeper sense of crease in the left hip as you move forward. Super strong in the legs, hands to hips, hands to shin, or again, hands to the floor. Breathe. Left knee moves forward. Walk it to the right. Okay. Left hand to the thigh. Open up to the left. Want to find as much length as we can here in our spine. Beautiful open twist. And we look down, runner's lunge, right knee down, hands to hips, shoulders back, arms up or cactus. Now instead of moving back into Tadasana, we're going to move into our downward dog. So hands down, right knee lifts, left leg back, down dog. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Stretch back. Taking a moment to capture the posture. We know the actions: knees bent, seat forward, upper back in, strong arms, lightness in the body. Inhale, heels high, knees down, exhale. Inhale, look forward. We're going to step that left foot right outside the mat on the left. Again, right hand comes down. This will be the third and final time of this stretch. Left shoulder moves back. Potentially the deepest expression in this posture of the day. Breathe. Now if we want to get a little fancy, the top of the foot on the right, or you can tuck your toes under, push down and perhaps lift that right knee. Going deep into that hip flexion. This is both a stretch, flexibility, strengthening posture, and mobility. And release it down. Left hand to the floor. Left knee comes back, so we're back to the all fours position. We'll inhale here, downward dog, exhale. Stretching back. Good. Inhale, heels high, knees down, exhale. Right foot right outside the mat on the right. Left hand heavy, right arm to the thigh. Stretch. Again, you can tuck the left toes under or the top of the foot, whichever is most comfortable. Lift the left knee if it's comfortable, otherwise leave it on the floor. And release it down. From that position, back to your all fours. Hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, hips to heels, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. And release. Good. Cross the shins and come into a seated posture with legs extended out. Good. Now, from here, just kind of windshield wiper the legs a little bit. Flex the ankles, sit up tall, so try to get as much of a 90-degree angle in your hips as you can. Shoulders are back. Hands, palms down right outside your hips. Okay? So this posture is called Dandasana, translated staff pose, shoulders back. Very active in the hips. So the seat is trying to pull back, so you're tilting again your pelvis forward, activating the thighs, and you want to push the upper thighs down. The heels are trying to pull back to encourage that action into the femur bone and the hips. Shoulders back, lift the chin. Couple rounds of breath. Excellent. Release. Left sole comes to the inner right thigh. We're going to twist over to the left. We're going to shoulders back and open the heart. So we've done quite a few twists today, so the spine is pretty mobile, but we still have a great sense of awareness of our twist. We're not turning the neck and trying to look over that left shoulder. We're simply moving the side body in opposite directions. So right moves to the left and left moves to the right, just to enhance that twist. And your gaze, quite honestly, can be pretty much anywhere that's comfortable for you. And then come back into neutral, take a breath, and then start to lean forward over that right thigh. What we don't want to do is to collapse, bringing a great deal of flexion to our spine. We want to lead with the heart and trying to find as much length as we can, extension. Come to a point that's comfortable and then take that left hand and transition it to the outside on the right. Left ribs get a little bit heavier. Again, it's subtle, but there is a little bit of a twist here as the left side gets heavier and you peek to the right side of your right shin. Come back into neutral. Take your left hand to your left foot. Come into a half seated, half happy baby pose. Shoulders are back. Okay. Lift up. So if you resist that left hand moving back with the left foot, that's going to take your chest and lift it even further. Okay, so you're nice and open in the heart space. And then we're going to move into a deeper hip to opening here. So that left foot's going to transition now to the outside on the right. Hands are going to come behind us. Now we can stay here, just let that left hip open, or perhaps we take the right foot to the floor. Important that we keep that left ankle flexed. We talked a little bit about this in a class yesterday. How far should I bring that right foot in? If you keep it out a little bit, that allows you more room to open the chest, okay? If you try to bring that really close to the body, then you tend to collapse on your tailbone and round your back. Move it forward. Don't think closer is necessarily better. Roll the shoulders back and then lean into it. Couple rounds of breath. And ease back. Take your left leg out. Nice big windshield wiper with the legs. Come back. Right foot. Inner left. Twist to the left. Excuse me, to the right. Sitting up tall. Come back into neutral. Start to lean the chest forward over that left thigh. Okay? Pull it back. Deepen the crease in that hip on the left. And then once you're comfortable, take that right hand and transition it over. Then we focus on the twist, allowing that right ribs to get a little heavier. Good. Release. Right hand, right foot. Lift up. And again, if you resist the two, so pull the right hand back and resist with your foot. Again, that'll lift your chest. Still staying strong on the left. And then transition it to the outside on the left. Cross, flex. Hands behind you, bring that left knee in if that's comfortable. Again, keep it a little bit on the longer side. Shoulders are back, and then transition the chest towards the shin. Nice. Ease up a little bit to clear the room. Left leg out, right leg out, windshield wiper. Scoot forward, come to your back. Now, just take a moment on your back, feet on the floor. Let the lower back settle. So there's no immediate pressure on the lower back because it is in flexion, extension right now. Bring the legs together. Now, we're going to cross, again, similar to what we just did, but we're not going to cross that right ankle all the way over that left thigh. We're going to let that right foot rest right on the center, the meat of that left thigh. Flexing, and then we're going to move the left foot to the right a little bit, and then we'll drop the knees to the left. Notice my left foot is not touching the floor. Now, I'm using some energy here to keep this right knee lifted. I'm going to release that and let it fall away from me. Okay? So we're getting a big external rotation in that right hip, staying flexed in your right ankle. Okay, left leg is resting on the mat. Your arms can be in a T. You can look towards the right to root that right shoulder, or just kind of encourage it to the floor. And again, all through gravity here. Nice. Now we're going to come back slowly, and we're going to transition it directly to the right. And you can scoot the right foot a little bit more over if that's comfortable. Knees to the right. Arms can stay in a T if that's comfortable, or take the left hand behind you. And then we'll slowly move back into a neutral position with both feet on the floor. Take a breath. Nice long exhale. Left foot transitions over, again, right in the middle of that upper thigh. Okay, well actually the knee side of the thigh. Flex it, drop it to the right. Okay. Left foot is going to hover, and we're going to let that left knee fall forward slowly. And then we'll draw it up. We'll let it slide over towards the left. Slowly transitioning back into neutral, both feet to the floor. Happy baby pose. So if you can't quite grab your feet, then take your hands to behind the knees. Just a nice little side to side. Maybe if you do have access to the feet, maybe the hands come over the ball mounds. Shoulders are back, and a nice little side to side. And then from there, bring the knees into your chest, give yourself a nice squeeze, roll the shoulders up, tight little ball. And then soles of the feet together and let your knees go wide. And then let your arms come into the Shavasana position. So either on a T or about half that distance, or even letting the hands rest on the heart. Allow gravity to do the work with the legs. Now you can stay in this position during the length of Shavasana, or if it's more comfortable, then simply stretch your legs to the more traditional shape of Shavasana, reclined posture. Take a deep, full breath and a nice long exhale. Appreciating the opportunity to practice, to work the body, to move, to breathe, stretch, explore. A couple of minutes here. Slowly begin to deepen your breath, allowing the body to continue in this position of stillness. Feel that the body is awakening from the deepest part, and that energy is slowly transitioning to the surface. And as it makes its way to the surface, we slowly begin to move our fingers and toes. And as our fingers and toes move, our breath begins to deepen somewhat. As our arms possibly stretch over our head, if that's a movement that feels good. Offering a deep, full breath and just stretching on the exhale. We find ourselves moving towards a comfortable seated posture. And as we move towards the seat, we enter it with the same mindfulness that we have throughout our practice. Respecting the body as we move, treating it with respect, moving it with integrity and quality and grace. We recall the intention of this practice, and as we do, we join our hands back into prayer position to the heart. From there, we bow our heads, and the divine within me honors and respects the divine within you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Namaste.